Hello everybody, it's your boy Bandit Banks here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be ranking all meaningful Sea of Thieves islands from worst to best. By meaningful, there needs to be two conditions that were met for it to be considered for this list. First of all, it actually had to be in the Sea of Thieves map, and how I judge that is if you could bring your loot to this island, then I counted it. So islands like the Tutorial Island or the Ghostly Islands from the Pirates of the Caribbean Tall Tale Islands will not be included. As well, it couldn't be one of those small, shitty islands with just barrels and literally nothing else on it. So those copy and paste islands that everyone forgets about, I won't be including those on this list. If you do enjoy the content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, turning that bell on so you get notified anytime I upload. But without further ado, let's hop straight in to this top 57. Coming in last place, I'm sure something that every member of the Sea of Thieves community can actually agree on. Old Faithful Island's number 57. It's terrible, I'm sorry. And I only really put it on this list so that I could put it last. Next up, we got the worst fort in the game, Molten Sands Fortress. This fort looks terrible, it's super annoying, there's nothing good about it. At number 55, we got the worst sea post in the game, Brian's Bazaar. Whoever built this next to an active volcano is a complete idiot. Next up is Liar's Backbone. The only semi-interesting thing about this is the Tall Tale section below it, but I'm really not counting that as part of the island, and for that reason, this island is just pretty bland. There's nothing here. Next up, we got the worst outpost in the game. Some people like Morals Peak Outpost, but I am not a fan. The geysers suck, the volcano's horrible, and the layout's pretty spread out. Next up, we got the other sea post in the Devil's Roar. This one's slightly better than Brian's Bazaar, because the volcano that can hit it is a little farther, so it's less likely to hit it, but it still sucks. Here we got Daggertooth Outpost, and if you love running marathons while selling loot, this is the outpost for you. It also looks ugly. Just making the top 50, we got the worst fort in the game, Lost Gold Fort. This fort has a truly terrible layout. The entire design is just a bunch of walkways and narrow paths and ramps just thrown onto this really steep rock. Next up, we got Flintlock Peninsula, which is a giant spread out island in the Devil's Roar. At number 48, we got the Uncharted Island at K9. The entirety of this island's resume contains some cool underwater caves and a dog. The rest of the sea posts in Sea of Thieves are pretty similar, with some small differences, so I'm just going to quickly list them out from worst to best because they are all back to back. So we got 3 Paces East Sea Post, the Wild Treasure Store, the Spoils of Plenty Store, the Finest Trading Post, Steven Spoils, and then the best sea post, the North Star Sea Post, because Suds is an absolute chad. Just beating out the sea posts, in the top right of the map, we got Sharkfin Camp, which is just an unusually boring fort. Just making the top 40, we got Fetcher's Rest. Similar to Flintlock Peninsula, it is a giant, ugly island out in the Devil's Roar, but this one's a little more compact, a little closer together, and just a tiny bit cooler, in my opinion. Next up, we got an island that we call Food Island because it always has really good food in its barrels. But besides that, it's really just 2 giant spires with not much detail involved in them. Next up, we've got Snake Island. If you enjoy getting every form of PvE possible on you in a very small, enclosed space, this is the island for you. Next up, we got Sailor's Bounty. Besides the Tall Tale section underneath the island, this island kinda sucks. It's one main, ugly island, surrounded by 10 smaller, uglier islands. But again, the underground section is pretty cool. Honestly, this is a pretty cool island that probably deserves to be higher, but as far as I'm concerned, the skeleton throne on this island can suck a ween, so it is coming in at number 36. Next up, we've got Lagoon of Whispers, Umbra's home. A pretty small island, insignificant, except for the fact that it is Umbra's home, who sells the best tattoos in the game. So that's really the only reason it made this list. This island right here is Keel Hall Fort. Pretty similar to a lot of the other forts. It doesn't look half bad. The problem with this island is it has no good harpooning spots to get the loot, so moving loot off this island is a bitch. At number 33, we've got Discovery Ridge, which is a giant island in the bottom left hand of the map that has a lot of wasted potential. It could have been a lot cooler than it is, but there is really nothing there. Next up, we got Sailor's Knot Stronghold, and the only memorable thing about this fort for me is that the rocks surrounding the fort you can tuck inside of. That's it. Coming in at number 31, we got Ancient Spire Outpost. Honestly, a pretty cool outpost. If I didn't have to run as far for the Athena items, it might be higher, but I just prefer other outposts and other islands over this one. Nothing terrible about this outpost. Here, just breaking the top 30, we have Crescent Isle. Not too much to say about this, honestly, which is why it's so low. One cave, one vault, not too much in the way of structures on the island, and just nothing too special here. Next up, we got Ashen Reaches, and we're kind of getting to islands on the Devil's Roar that I actually do like. This one's got a lot of cool secrets hidden away, caves, little mysteries, and it doesn't look too ugly considering it is in the Devil's Roar. Next up, we got Kraken Watchtower, which is an exactly average fort. Nothing special, nothing horrible, nothing to complain about, not a memorable fort, but it does have a good layout and pretty decent designs. Next up, we've got Golden Sands Outpost. A lot of people have this outpost as one of their favorites. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of it. It's really spread out. The sell points are, well, especially the Athena is spread out. Again, it's a pretty nice looking outpost, but practically I'm just not a big fan of it. And I don't know, that's just my opinion. Next up, Shipwreck Bay, a staple in the Sea of Thieves community. Pretty cool looking island, just spread out shipwrecks everywhere, but it is annoying to move around this island. And it is kind of just a repeat over and over and over the same shipwreck, so you can't really explore too much. Here we got Skull Keep, which is actually a pretty cool fort. It's the first of the forts that I actually really like. The design of this one's cool, the layout's really good. It's got everything you need, harpooning spots, open areas, and just enough hidden designs and Easter eggs to keep it interesting. At number 24, we got Crook's Hollow. Pretty cool island, centered in the map. Has some cool secrets to discover, little nooks, crevices here and there. Also a pretty cool character on it. Nothing boring, but nothing that really stands out on this island, which is why it comes in at number 24. Hidden Spring Keep comes in at number 23 on this list because it's an overall good fort. It's got everything you need, good spots to harpoon. Again, nothing really to hate on this fort. Next up, we've got Plunder Outpost. It's a pretty good outpost to spawn at and sell at, and it would probably be higher on my list if it didn't just look like a giant rock. Next up, we got my second favorite island in the Devil's Roar. I can't really tell you why it's my second favorite, because I don't know, but it is. Just making the top 20, we got Sharkbait Cove. Really cool island. I've always had a soft spot for this island since the Hungering Deep event, if you know, you know. But some cool statues, cool monuments, cool paintings, and nothing too boring about this island. Here we've got Smuggler's Bay, a cool island, lots of cool little features, cool caves. My problem with this island is it's way too damn big. Running around it is a nightmare. Coming in at number 18, we got Cannon Cove, a very memorable island. A lot of new players even know about this island. It's pretty cool, cool dock, lots of resources. It's a pretty cool island to explore, so I encourage you to do that yourself, and it's just generally considered to be a good island. Coming in at number 17, we got Lone Cove, a classic island, really cool fixtures, cool hidden secrets everywhere, a baddie named Deadshot Charlotte on one of the beaches, so again, great island. Next up, we got the Sunken Grove, which has one of the coolest ideas, I think, of any island. Just this really rough looking island on the outside, but then you get to the inside, it's just this paradise. And that idea in and of itself deserves the number 16 spot. Just making the top 15, we got Kraken's Fall. Really cool island with lots of lore attached to it, especially in the early days of Sea of Thieves. And while it is a pretty big island, there's a lot of really cool stuff packed into that big island, so I guess it makes it worth it. Next up, we got my favorite of the normal forts, which is Crow's Nest Fortress. I really like the layout, location, design, hidden Easter eggs, and all the cool little kind of things they throw in to this fort. At lucky number 13, we've got the beautiful Mermaid's Hideaway. Cool tall tale stuff to explore on it, places you can only reach by cannons, some pretty cool NPCs, and just a little bit of everything on this island. Coming in at number 12, we have the Uncharted Island at N13, and I know what you're thinking, wow, that's a small shitty island. Yes, but the history behind this island is awesome, everything that has happened here is pretty awesome. The start of the tall tales, the ships that have sunk here, and I'm a nerd about that stuff. It's my list, so I'm putting it at number 12. Next up, we got Sanctuary Outpost, which is my second favorite outpost in the game. It's small, the sunsets are beautiful, lots of supplies, everything's close together. Nothing to hate really about this outpost. Coming in at number 10, we got the Devil's Thirst. This map is mainly cracking the top 10 so that everyone who loves the Devil's Roar doesn't hate this video. It's also semi-cool. Coming in at number 9, we got Plunder Valley. A pretty dope island, lots of statues, cool things to find, hidden caves, and this island is also home to my all-time favorite, I would call it an Easter egg kind of in this game, or thing that you can do with other crews, and if you haven't done it, I would highly recommend doing it. Hint hint on screen right now. At number 8, we have the best of the Uncharted Islands, the Sea Dog Tavern. This ship impaled on a spike has got an obstacle course, cool Easter eggs, a lot to discover on it, a ton of barrels, lots of resources, and there's no boring part about this island. And that's why it deserves its spot at number 8. At number 7, we got the Fort of the Damned. Easily one of the best events they ever added to this game, brought so much PvP. I remember the hype back when it was first released. And it's the coolest looking fort too, so it's got that, it's got everything. Still to this day, it inspires a lot of PvP. And just overall, like this island, so much has happened around it. So for those reasons, I think it deserves its spot at number 7. Coming in at number 6, we got Devil's Ridge. I like this one because it is a big island, but it doesn't feel that way. Like there's so much stuff everywhere. It's a good looking island with a lot to do on it, a lot to find, a lot to explore. I know that's a common theme among all these top islands, but that's why they're up here, in my opinion. That's what makes a good island good, is that it looks cool, and that there's so much to do and explore on that island. So for that reason, Devil's Ridge comes in at number 6. Just making the top 5, we got Tribute Peak, sometimes known as the Shores of Gold Island. Seeing that this island is over 4 times bigger than any other island in Sea of Thieves, it does make a lot of sense that there would be a lot of cool shit they put on this island, and they didn't disappoint in that aspect. Again, the only bad thing really about this island is the sheer size of it. Running from one end to the other will literally take you like 4 or 5 minutes. But other than that, this island's got so much cool shit on it and beneath it that it easily deserves its spot at number 5 on this list. Coming in at number 4, we got my favorite outpost in the game, Galleon's Grave. This outpost has everything. It's really compact, lots of barrels, so supply-wise and utility-wise, it's cool that way. But just looking at this outpost, you can get a good idea of the lore behind it, and I don't think any other island really captures that, of just looking at it, and you know the story behind it type of deal. So, for the utility, the cool looks, and the lore, that's why I put this outpost at number 4 on my list. In the 3rd spot, getting the bronze medal for the best overall island, we've got Wanderer's Refuge. A pretty awesome island. I really love this island. There's different layers to it. You've got secret hideouts on it, you've got ruins, you've got history you can look through. And it's a big island, but it doesn't feel big, which is kind of weird. Anyways, that's why I think it's pretty awesome, and that's why I think it deserves the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, we have the most lore-infused island in this entire game, Thieves Haven. The story behind this island is awesome. And even if the story wasn't awesome, this island looks sick. The fact that you can park your ship inside of it, the shipwrecks, the elevators, the statues, the waterfalls, the hidden caves, the little mysteries, everything about this island is just so awesome. It's such a unique looking island too. No other island looks anything like this island. So for all these reasons of lore, looks, beauty, and just an awesome overall vibe, Thieves Haven comes in at number 2 on my list. And coming in at number 1, was there ever any doubt, we've got Reaper's Hideout. This is a island mixed with a fort, mixed with just some evil vibes, and the end product is just awesome. Besides being able to sell everything, defend this island, If you just look around this island, there's so much mystery, and you can tell that a lot of the game's future is going to be centered around this island. So the evil vibe of this island, the unique crossover between a fort, an outpost, and an island, the unique character on this island that is shrouded in mystery, some of the journals you can find everywhere, the overall design of this island, just everything about it. There's literally nothing I can find to hate on about this island, and for all these reasons, Reaper's Hideout comes in at number 1 on my list. Well, that wraps up my top 57, and before you say it, yes, finding differences between some of these islands I was reaching a bit. I did really try, though, to put these in order from best to worst in my opinion and justify it as best as I could, but some of the differences between these islands were hard to pick apart, and it was hard to come up with a definitive list. So if you dislike the placement of some of the islands on this list, be sure to drop it in the comments below and tell me why, because I'm always down to hear different opinions and how different people think about different, like how they rate islands and what makes a good island in their opinion. But with that, it's been your boy Bandit Banks. I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I will see you out there on the seas.